I'm aware of the confrontations with Northern Korea. I'm more concerned at the moment with our own personal welfare here and how it's going to be in just a very short time, because if the grocery stores close and the gas stations close, it's going to be pretty much...
okay, now that brings me to a kind of a favorite subject of mine. In looking and reporting on the news and watching the way they were moving, knowing what happened in the Soviet Union, knowing what happened in the Ukraine, the farm belt of Russia, and 10 million people were starved to death there. I came up with a plan for Liberty Villages, and the plan. Let me outline this for you, so you got the picture and know exactly where I'm going to go. Obama's idea of greening America is putting Monsanto genetically modified foods in the crops with their own pest control already in it and they're going to feed it to you. He sells them on top of a mountain over here to a foreign company. They come up, put up windmills, pipe the electricity back down to the power plant, sell it to the power plant, and our power plant sells it to you. We'll be right back here. I hear the troops coming.
It's coming down. New world orders, training armies on our ground. With soldiers dressed in black and blue to aim the crosshairs of their guns at me and you. I know a man who lives way up in Idaho.
You are listening to Liberty Broadcasting Network.
When looking at your personal preparedness level, remember the freeze-dried guide. During times of physical and emotional stress like the uncertain times we live in today, it is vital that you not alter your diet too much. You should only store what you usually eat, because one day you may have to eat only what you have stored. Lucky for you, there's the freeze-dried guide. Featuring the superior nutrition and taste you've come to expect, the freeze-dried guide has a wide variety of choices in freeze-dried foods. All freeze-dried foods are no-cook products requiring only hot water and a few minutes of your time. The freeze-dried guide has been serving various government agencies as well as the private sector with the finest in freeze-dried storable foods and emergency rations since 1970. Consider the technological advances made in computers from the punch card days of the 60s and 70s to the high-speed personal computers of today. Comparably, the advances made in food storage from the World War II era till now are equally great. Visit the website at www.freezedryguide.com or call toll-free 866-404-3663.
Thank you for listening.
You know the Constitution like the back of your hand. You've read books, listened to podcasts, attended lectures, surfed websites, and watched videos. You've made liberty your life's goal, but something seems to be missing. Stickers from libertystickers.com. Exercise your freedom of speech with the world's most dangerous bumper stickers. That's libertystickers.com.
Find us at www.libertybroadcastingnetwork.com.
Being a part of Life Change Tea has been an exhilarating experience. I love the testimonies. Julie in New York writes, I love this product. I feel great. It worked immediately. You can feel the cleansing right away. Other products don't work right away like this one does. Mrs. Luella from Missouri writes, my daughter has lost 27 pounds. She loves the tea. And David from Tennessee writes, my wife has a lot of digestive problems and the tea really helps her a lot. I like it too. And here's my favorite from CJ in Minnesota. He writes, this stuff really works. No, I mean it really works. No, I mean it really works. Be one of the many testimonies that we receive every month. Order today online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. You know the number, 928-308-0408. Be our next testimony. You love us, and we love you.
You're listening to the Liberty Broadcasting Network.
This is an emergency alert. People don't die of H1N1 infection. They die from system-wide intoxication and toxic shock. Doctors call it the cytokine storm following infection and immune hyperstimulation. Vaccines with immune stimulants or toxic drugs chemicalize your body, adding to your death risk. Prevent death and reverse diseases from infections, vaccinations, and drug toxicity. Call this number to get my free special report about the flu and what to do to save lives, maybe even your own. I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. Order Zeolife, the world's most powerful broad-spectrum detoxifier, immune system guard, and vaccine cleanse. Avoid vaccinations and drugs. Use Zeolife and oxysilver hydrosol instead to detox and degerm your body. Stop the shock of toxicity and preventable deaths. Call 1-888-KO-GERMS. That's 1-888-KO-GERMS. Or visit zeolife.net and oxysilver.net and order your free report and package special.
Can you handle the truth?
When looking at your personal preparedness level, remember the freeze-dry guide. During times of physical and emotional stress like the uncertain times we live in today, it is vital that you not alter your diet too much. You should only store what you usually eat, because one day you may have to eat only what you have stored. Lucky for you, there's the freeze-dry guide. Featuring the superior nutrition and taste you've come to expect, the freeze-dry guide has a wide variety of choices in freeze-dried foods. All freeze-dried foods are no-cook products requiring only hot water and a few minutes of your time. The freeze-dry guide has been serving various government agencies as well as the private sector with the finest in freeze-dried storable foods and emergency rations since 1970. Consider the technological advances made in computers from the punch card days of the 60s and 70s to the high-speed personal computers of today. Comparably, the advances made in food storage from the World War II era till now are equally great. Visit the website at www.freezedryguide.com or call toll-free 866-404-3663.
Views and opinions expressed on this network by the host and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Liberty Broadcasting Network, its sponsors, affiliates, or hosts.
Yeah, that's no longer, that's not a hunting rifle anymore, that's an assault weapon. Yeah, now, what about this? You just heard Carl Klang singing and I'm going to get him on my show, find out how he's doing. Here he's back in Oregon. The protocols, what about this Jewish control of the media? Now, if Joel Siegel says it, and he's a writer for New York Times who happens to be Jewish, if he says it, it's okay. It's no big deal. Yeah, Jews run this. I get people ask me, Clay, why do you hate the Jews? I say, I don't hate Jews. I don't hate nobody. I don't, I don't. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. Unless you're trying to rip off the people, unless you're trying to do something to hurt, unless you're working for a communist organization trying to undermine this and they give us all the false scales, David. They got, you got communism on the left, fascism on the right. I don't think so. I think you've got communism, fascism, totalitarianism, and democracies on the right. On the left, you got anarchy. In the middle, you got a constitutional republic. That's what we were given by our founding fathers, if we could keep it. You want to restore the constitutional republic, and how are you going to do it? With the media in the control of somebody that's ripping us off to the tune of trillions of dollars every year through the Federal Reserve?
Well, that's a big question, and like I've always been taught, there's many ways to skin a cat. you're going to solve a big problem such as the one we've got, you can try it from a couple different angles, all simultaneously. Getting on your program this morning and tonight is my first step, but I'm looking to get financing from wherever, whenever, and as soon as I do, I'm going to be opening a shop here on the promenade in Santa Monica and doing some online telecasting just like we are tonight. The YouTube nowadays is more watched than the ABC, NBC, and CBS for updates on news. Everyone knows that they can watch CNN and Fox Network, but then they can turn on the YouTube and check it out there to see what the real story on what they just saw was. So I'm going to be using the YouTube quite frequently and appearing on different talk shows. I've already appeared on out of Chicago on the Underground Railroad with a gentleman by the name of Clifton, and he was a very cordial Muslim, may I say, and so very nice to meet him and do his show a couple months back. A woman out of South Carolina got a hold of me and had me do a women's empowerment program with her just a couple weeks back. So this blog talk radio is a way to get the word out and to get the people talking about it at least, and they get a few local paper coverages and whatnot. I have one brother. One of my four brothers has been a producer in New York City for NBC and ABC for 20 years now. He's going to be leaving his post there and moving to another company shortly in the same line of work. It's television production. So I'm going to get a little television coverage from him. Never know. I keep him posted, but he says he's going to watch and see for a little bit. So I'm sure that we're going to get picked up on, and as soon as we get a little further down the hill, I think we're going to be busted out in more directions than we can tell right now.
I think you're right, and I'm working on generating a lot of publicity for the show, for your campaign, because I think we need to stand behind somebody that's just talking about what's good for the people. Is it good for me, and is it good for you? You know?
Yes, for all of us. That's
for all of us.
Yes. It's either good for all of us, or it's not going to be good for any of us. So, one of the things that's irritated me from all my fact-finding and discovery was that the fact that 30% of our gross national product every year has been ripped off and used to build underground bases in this tunneling system in this country. For over 130 underground bases and railroad tunneling has been taken out of our gross national product each and every year. And the Congress and the Senate don't even know about this. It's just taken right off the top. And, I've heard of different countries experiencing different rip-offs and different manipulations by their leaders, but they haven't been done to our own United States of America for like 50 years now. It's just ridiculous. It just really burns my rear end.
What they are prepared now. Now this is you're bringing up something that I'm pretty interested in, because I'm talking about this in the next book that I'm writing, which will be called The Legend of Lucifer, and that's a working title at the moment. And by the way, you are broadcasting on Liberty Broadcasting Network now, so we are getting out there. We are doing the show. We are reaching a new audience, and I think when people start hearing what the message is and understand it, things won't stay exactly the same, because if we take the power away from the banksters, if we stop charging usury, people may find out that we are closer in spirit and religious views of one God, one Creator. We may be closer to the Muslims than we are the Jews, and the Jews are, and look at the Muslims are they're rising up against a 40-year dictator that has been working with Israel and the United States, and not always positive ways. The people are pretty unhappy about it. I think this is the mark of a worldwide revolution of the people, not necessarily a Muslim or a Christian or a Jewish group.
It is entirely, Clayton. It's a world movement on individual countries at the moment. They're all waking up. The veil is actually being lifted right now from their eyes by our Creator, and they're all starting to see things in an entirely different light, just like we are. Our country's waking up, and people are listening to us for the first time tonight, but they're listening. They're not turning this radio program off. And as time progresses, rather quickly, we're going to see some more amazing things happen right before our eyes. But it's still up in the air. This next spring, this fall, we will be entering into what's been spoken of as the time of tribulation. And the thing we're going to be tribulating about is this next election and whether or not we can put food on our tables. I always was able to eat meat with every meal when I was being raised on the farm in Iowa, but that may not be the case in the next few years since the farm growing has been...
I brought up the concept of Liberty Villages here, and the Liberty Village concept, although when I planned it, it was to be done on a farm or a ranch 20 miles from the nearest town. But we could actually do this, and it's being done in New Orleans. Brad Pitt went down there, put a little bit of money into a neighborhood there, put solar, put wind power on the houses, let the people move back into their houses, repaired them, and they started making money off of the house.
Yep.
Selling the electricity back to we didn't have to tear nothing down. They didn't have to tear nothing down. All they had to do is make a small change. And if we did this in one neighborhood, if we went to a neighborhood and said, okay, everybody on this block is going to be in competition with the people on that block. We're going to see how we want you to make wind generators in your garage. Do whatever you're good at. Do something, contribute. Or if you can't make them, then you can sell them. We want you to convert your backyard just like the family. And if anybody's got the video about the family in Glendale, California, that's got turned their whole backyard, turned their front yard into a garden. They're growing enough food for their neighbors, and they're growing enough food to sell to some of the restaurants. And they got solar on the roof, and they got probably a windmill in the backyard. Why can't we do that in every place in America and take the control of the energy away from the banksters and give it back to the people the way Tesla tried to do before J.P. Morgan realized he couldn't rip the people off doing it Tesla's way?
Well, we can do this, Clay. It's not hard at all. You've seen it done yourself, and this is what we're going to do. Because the banksters are actually supposed to be just printing money and passing it out and collecting a little interest for the money they loan. They're not supposed to be controlling anything. They're not supposed to make any big decisions. They're not supposed to be doing any of this crap that they've been pulling the wool over our eyes for so long now. And in this next election, everyone's going to know, everyone's going to see, and everyone's going to have the opportunity to either stand up and get on our side of the road, or it's all going to go under here. Because, like I said, the plans are to eliminate 3/4 of the populace by 2029, and they're poised and ready to do this. Now, the only way we're all going to get out of this is to unite, not just in the next election, with the same vote. We're also going to have to work together every day to survive for a short time before the ground readjusts and we're able to produce crops and begin our lives back on a even keel again. But we can make it. We can adjust. We can make it over the hump in time if we all pull together. That means that we're going to have to imagine that everyone is their brother and sister. There can be no more women walking through the shopping mall wagging their rear ends with a tiny skirt on and makeup and jewelry dangling, looking like somebody just walked out of Playboy magazine. We've got to wake up. Women have got to wake up and dress down a bit, dress a little bit more conservatively, and men have to start opening the doors again and let the older people sit on the bus when you got to seat yourself. We've got to start thinking like we were raised. You know.
Okay.
Like,
let me take something. Let's take this up a little bit. You know, one of the big the things that wars are fought off over right now is oil. We don't really need as much as we're using. Of course, it probably takes a lot of fuel up there to keep those chemtrail planes going. But what would you do about the oil? We've got more oil in this country than Saudi Arabia.
Oil isn't the problem. The problem seems to be with the amount of gasoline we have. Now, the gasoline is refined at plants that are positioned on our coastal areas. They're all going to get wiped out when the tidal wave hits. So we need to convert our engines all over to hydrogen-based fuel. And that can be taken from the very water that we drink and bathe in that's out in the ocean. 2/3 of the planet is water. There's more hydrogen in a drop of water than you can use forever. So we need to convert our engines over. There's a couple of videos on YouTube at the moment by a gentleman in Houston, Texas, called the Water Fuel Engine. And he's figured out how to just electrically charge a couple of bars, and it separates the hydrogen from the oxygen in a glass of water. So we need to do this after the next election, convert over all of our vehicles to a hydrogen-based fuel. We can live without gasoline. We can manufacture our own hydrogen and get it from tanks of seaweed even. But what needs to happen, Clayton, is a conscious realization by the very people here of the alternatives that can be used much more efficiently and much more effectively than what we're using at the moment.
What about the troops overseas? Would you be, I mean, of course they've been throwing those doing that name calling trip. If you want to talk about being self-sufficient in this country and dealing in this country, they want to call you an isolationist. I don't think that's a bad thing. What do you think?
Well, isolation would only be temporarily for the moment in order to restore our economy and our system.
Hang on a minute. We'll take a break. Be right back.
Can you handle the truth?
Being a part of Life Change Tea has been an exhilarating experience. I love the testimonies. Julie in New York